Good morning, everybody. We are live. I'm really excited. We got a good show for you today. We got several MAGA people going to jail. Great jobs report. We've got news coming out of the Helene disaster relief. Stick with us. It's going to be a good show, to folks. We're gonna have a lot to talk about today. Grab a cup of coffee and let's do this. All right, people, let's start with a little good news. Let's start with a little something to bring it up a little bit. Get the excitement going. Just things that are happening that are just, nice. Nice. Starting with jobs reports out in September. 254,000 jobs added in September, far beating expectations. They just cut interest rates. The economy had been slowing a bit. Everybody expected jobs to tank this month. Didn't happen. A lot of hiring because the economy is looking really good. On that note, let's take a look. Let's compare Republicans to Democrats. I love doing this with you folks because you are some of the best informed people there is out there. If we look in the modern era, let's say start about, 1980. Let's go back to 1980. We'll call it the modern era. Start with George H.W. Bush. If you count jobs, Republicans versus Democrat, what percent of the jobs do you think were created by Democrats versus Republicans? So we got George W. Bush, Republican. Then we had Bill Clinton, Democrat. Then we had H.W. Bush, and then now we got George W. Bush, Republican. And then we had Barack Obama. Then we had Donald Trump, Republican. And then now we've got Joe Biden, Democrat. So 6 presidents. What percentage of the jobs do you think were created Democrat versus Republican? And I saw one person already got it right. Have a little before you. It was created by Cap Action. They're using Department of Labor statistics. 98-2. They've broken it down by president. Biden Harris has added 16.2 million jobs so far. Obama's added 11.6 million jobs. Bill Clinton wasn't just fiddling around. This guy was getting it done. 22.9 million jobs added by Bill Clinton. Then you got W. Bush had 1.4 million. H.W. Bush had 2.6 million. And then Trump, of course, lost jobs. The only president in modern history to ever lose jobs during his presidency. Yeah, that's really eye-opening, isn't it? That's just... And kudos to Cap Action. It's really great when you can see it like that. Just amazing. Amazing that we're even having a discussion about election. And you know what blows my mind also about that statistic? What really blows my mind also about that statistic is that you still have billionaires that fund the Republican Party. Sherry Foster, thanks for the support. Here's for keeping Texas Paul from falling flat on his nose while meandering around in the dark. Thank you. I was up at 3:30 this morning. I was. If you follow my social media, I was up at 3:30 this morning. I don't know what it is. I can't sleep more than 6 hours. I can't. And my dumbass me fell asleep at like a little after 9 o'clock last night. So 3:30 this morning, bing, I was awake. So I got up and went to work. Got up and got to work. Yep. This is me and a cup of coffee and trying to be quiet. So I can wake everybody up. But yeah, I mean, think about that, folks. 98-2. Why are we even having a discussion about an election? Who the hell would want a Republican? I mean, my God. I mean, that's not feelings. That's just math. 98-2. Oh my God. And we got some more good news. More good news. Boom. I'm sure most of you have seen this already. Strike's over. The strike is over. I got to tell you, this got under my skin a bit. You know, y'all have all seen the images. I'm not going to bring it up, of Harold Daggett with Donald Trump. This was blatant. This was really blatant. These contracts are done every 6 years. Nobody didn't know this contract negotiation was coming. And you really had a lot of people playing politics on both sides. And it really sucked because you're like Harold Daggett, you know, there's a Trumper that's like, screw it, we're going to have a strike a month before the election. Then on the other side, you've got the port operators that are like, these are all Trumpers, by the way. The port operators are hardline Republicans. That's why there has been no work done on any of the ports. Our ports are so far behind. Ask our European audience. Their ports are amazing compared to ours. The amount of automation, they're entire classes of ship. Like I've said this before, entire classes of ship that a lot of our ports on the East Coast can't even service. They're just too big. They can't even service them. It's just amazing. It blows my mind, the amount of automation. Jerry Anderson says, here's something from Central Idaho. I know you'll put it to good use. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate the support. I really do. Thank you. It allows me to do this full time. But yeah, John Gomez, we're falling behind. We need infrastructure automation badly. But these morons that are the port operators, you know, all they want to do is grab as much money as they can and get out of here. Nobody wants to do the modernization. Nobody wants to do the work, man. So they support Trump. They support Republicans. And that was a big sticking point too, because, you know, we Democrats have said it. We are gonna drag you people kicking and screaming. We're going to modernize our infrastructure. We are going to get this done. And the port operators were like, well, you know what? This will work. This will be nice. We'll make sure Trump gets elected because we're not going to come to an agreement. The argument wasn't even money. The argument wasn't even over money. They settled at 62%. The argument was over modernization. The port operators thought, no way Biden allows this to happen. No way Biden allows this to happen before the election. He'll break this strike. It's within his power to do it. He has legal authority, and there's legislation out there that allows him to end a strike that affects our nation's infrastructure like this. And Joe Biden, much to his credit, said, no. Collective bargaining agreements are in place for a reason. I'm not getting into this. Y'all settle it. So you had Daggett over here, who's Trump's buddy, pulls this crap. Then you've got the porter operators over here. They're like, this is going to be great. We're going to get the Democrats to screw themselves with the unions. They're going to bust this strike. None of it worked out that way. None of it worked out that way. You had guys like me, you know, the moment I heard about this, because this isn't, like I said, this isn't new news. We knew this was coming. The minute I knew that they agreed to strike, guys like me were calling it the Trump strike. It was the Trump strike. And as soon as that caught on, well, let's talk about this. Let's negotiate. Let's not do this. And boom, like that, a couple days later, strike's over. As soon as Trump started catching hell for this, strike's over. It's so painfully obvious, and I love you people so much. Somebody posted it. It's the Taft-Hartley Act. I wasn't going to get that far out in the weeds, but yes, that it allows that Taft-Hartley Act would have allowed Joe Biden to break this. That was the rope-a-dope. That was the plan, and they had a whole social media blitz put together to go with it. They did. They really did. They were. This came in one of our local Trump Facebook groups. It also appeared in All Things Longview. This meme just went around with the right wingers to intentionally trigger panic buying over this strike. And those of you that follow me on social media knows I've already excoriated this. I went after that because folks, toilet paper is made in the United States. Toilet paper is made right here. There are paper plants all over this country. Toilet paper is made here. A port strike does not affect your ability to get toilet paper. People were hoarding toilet paper and paper towels. People were hoarding meat. For Christ's sake, meat. If there's one thing that we do well in this country, it's meat. And we don't raise cattle, process them, and then for some ungodknown reason, put them on a ship and then ship them back to ourselves. We don't do that, folks. We just don't. It's stupid. Why are you hoarding meat? But they were, man. They were. They were really. Christy Germack says, thank you for, hey, man, thank you. I have to go look at all this crap all the damn time, and spending this time with you, that recharges my batteries, man. That really does. Y'all keep me going, and I really appreciate you. But yeah, it triggered panic buying on the right because they wanted a crisis. They really did, because Trump screwed the pooch so bad with COVID. They knew that just a few memes would trigger panic buying. They knew it would. And when the right wing started, flooding the stores and buying up all the stock, it was happening all over the freaking country. Well, that triggered everybody that wasn't a right winger to say, well, I better get me some toilet paper. Better get me some toilet paper. But yeah, this was cost for them. It's so crazy.
This long at Costco. It's freaking massive. Something's going on. When they look at it, and even snakes all the way from over there, back there, around here. I mean, it's going to take
just crazy. And when I'm talking about this, I love the old saying, I may be pointing one finger at you, but I'm pointing three fingers back at me. Because me and Mrs. Texas Paul were at Sam's, and we're just doing our regular old shopping. And these people were freaking out. We walked by and we're like, well, we need some toilet paper. And we grabbed one package and threw it on there. And this old boy comes up, and I mean, they were just running up and grabbing it like it was, it was crazy. And then this one old boy walks up, those flats that they have in Sam's, the big, not the buggies, we call shopping carts buggies. And it's what we do here in the South. But anyways, the big flats, this dude pulls up with two of those and just starts filling them up. And Mrs. Texas Paul's like, really? You think we ought to buy another one just because they're going to buy them all up? Do you think we ought to buy another one? I'm like, yeah, screw it. I went over and grabbed another pack of toilet paper. I was guilty of it too. Not because I know toilet paper is made in the United States. The strike isn't going to do anything to that. And I knew it was going to be over quickly because my man Pete Buttigieg was on the job. But the right-wingers did the full freak out with the memes because they wanted a crisis, bud. You should see them. They are freaking sick. This strike is over. They are sick. This strike is over. They really thought this was going to take them to the promised land, man. They really did. They thought, because, and you know what triggered people so easy? I just want to make this point again. What triggered people so much? COVID. People, the reason they were buying things that you don't even get through ports was COVID. It was nothing like COVID. I mean, we had shortages during COVID because factories were shut down. It wasn't the case. This was just a port strike. So the only thing that would have happened would have been what's affected through the ports. And folks, toilet paper is lightweight and bulky, right? It doesn't really lend itself to being stuck in a shipping container and shipped because that's expensive. It's really freaking, you pay by the square footage when you're shipping that way. So no, it's all made here. But COVID, man, they were having, like I said, backflashes or flashbacks is what I would say, but I got what you meant. Because of Trump and how badly he handled that situation, it caused panic buying. But this is the difference between Democrats and Republicans. This is from before the strike happened. I told you my man Pete Buttigieg was on this. This was from before the strike happened.
We have been engaging the parties really for months, as it's been known that this deadline was approaching, because it will take the parties coming to terms. That means the ocean carriers and the ports and the dock workers, in order to prevent a strike like that. Now, if you think about the timelines of ocean shipping, obviously they're very different from the timelines associated with something like air freight, and the stocks that you expect to see aren't a kind of a day-by-day thing, but it doesn't take long before you would really feel the impacts of that. Now, we've established tools here at the Department of Transportation to help manage some of the very different supply chain issues that we've seen, starting with COVID, then what happened on the Red Sea, issues with water levels in the Mississippi River and the Panama Canal, and now the potential for labor action and the impact that would have. It means we've got a dialogue with a number of logistics and shipping players who weren't all talking to us or to each other before we built up some of these relationships and some of these tools as a department. Just today had another convening that my colleagues at DOT brought.
Anyways, it goes on for a couple more minutes like that. I'm not going to, that's boring, isn't it? It's boring. It's the job. He was doing the job. They were already on these negotiations. Yes, Trump buddies, because Trump loves chaos. Republicans love chaos. They're not about doing the job. But there's my man, Pete. There's my man, Pete Buttigieg. I'm telling you, I am so glad that guy's around. I am so glad he heads the Department of Transportation. They're on it. They're doing the job. 100%. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Yeah, we come to you and say, elect us. We would like the job. Because we'll do the damn job. I mean, and everybody kept saying, well, yeah, toilet paper. I got this so much pushback from the right because I don't know why the right wingers still come for me. I don't know. I hand them their ass all the time, but they still come. And the big pushback I got on this was, well, yeah, You can get toilet paper now because it's made in the U.S., but what about 6 weeks from now when the plants can't get their chemicals because the chemicals come on the boats? The strike's going to be over in hours. Hours, not weeks, hours. I mean, they have no idea. They have no idea. They can't even imagine it. They can't imagine what it's like to have government working for them because they never see it. All they see is the crazy crap. Just the nutballness. Speaking of nutballness, we got some other news. Michelle Fiore, Nevada governor, Nevada GOP MAGA, not just Republican, MAGA candidate for governor. Just got convicted. Anyways, let me remind you who Michelle Fiore is. Don't lose me here. Yes, I'm going to play her campaign commercial. I want you to remember who this is. This is how it started.
I'm Michelle Fiore, and I'm running for governor. I spent my whole life fighting the establishment. I was the first female majority leader in the Nevada Assembly and one of the first electeds to endorse Donald J. Trump. And you better believe I was attacked for it. Washington Post called me a gun-toting calendar girl, and Politico magazine said that I was the Lady Trump, and I don't care. We need outsiders, fighters, not the same old boring, moderate, compromised, blue blazer politicians. Let's start with a three-shot plan. Ban vaccine mandates, ban critical race theory, and stop voter fraud. The Joe Biden administration is coming after me.
No, they're not. It's a Republican commercial, so of course you got to be shooting something, right? I mean, that's how it started. This is how it's going. Yeah, convicted on federal charges for stealing from a charity, a setup for a fallen police officer. She paid for things like, plastic surgery and her daughter's wedding. And imagine that. Another Trumper stealing from a charity, which is what I said is going to happen. You know, everybody on the right's like, Trump's such a great man. He set up a GoFundMe for all the people for, Hurricane Helene. He's such a good, that money's gone. That money's gone. I would, if somebody said, Paul, here, I'm going to put a gun to your head. You think Donald Trump's going to steal the money in that GoFundMe? Yeah. I'll bet my life on that one. Yeah, I got my producer Kitty is always here. She's always here. She's usually not on camera. You know, people always ask me, Paul, why you always wear white shirts, man? Why you always got white shirts? I got a dozen of these. This is my favorite shirt. Rich is grateful for you and Mrs. Texas Paul. This is a wonderful community. Thank you all. Hey, I love having you people. It is a wonderful community. Can you hear her purring? Anyways, that's why I wear white shirts all the time. Ta-da! You can't see any of the kitty glitter, can you? Now go on, girl. Go on. Sorry about that. But anyways, Michelle Fiore is going to do federal time. And anybody that knows anything about going to jail, federal time is all the time. I mean, you do like 9 for 10. You might get 1 for 10 for good behavior in federal time. But she's going to do all of it. And speaking about doing all of it, she's not the only one. She is not the only one that just, she got convicted. Tina Peters got convicted a couple of months back, but we just had her sentencing. Y'all may remember, let me remind you who Tina Peters is. She was the former Mesa County clerk. You may recognize her face. She just looks evil, doesn't she? Y'all may remember her from the old Dominion lawsuit and all that stuff. Yeah. Just Cliff's notes of what she got convicted for. She was the Mesa County clerk. She had the cameras turned off. There was 24-hour surveillance that kept an eye on the voting machines in Mesa County. She had those cameras turned off, and the day after she had the cameras turned off, some employee nobody ever heard of under a fictitious name was issued a badge for access. Then on, I believe it was May 23rd, you're talking about during the 2020 election when everybody was claiming that, there was voter fraud and the voting machines, this, that, and the other. May 23rd, a few days after she turns the cameras off, she brings in a local businessman, lets him access the voting machines. And then on May 24th, sits down and has dinner with the person that paid for that businessman's hotel room, which was the campaign manager for Lauren Boebert and Lauren Boebert. So yeah, this isn't the end of this. But she was a fool. I mean, you talk about going to prison to own the libs, man. Going to prison to own the libs. Yeah, they were tampering with the voting machines. Appreciate the support, man. I really do, Robert. I really appreciate you. You allow me to do this full time, and I'm incredibly grateful. But yeah, this isn't over. This is far from over. She's arrogant as hell right now. She actually asked for probation. She thought she was going to get probation. She pissed that judge off. Ooh. Let me tell you something, folks. If you ever end up before a judge, even if you think you're innocent, even if you are innocent, don't piss the judge off. Don't piss the judge off. I want you to hear, this is just a second. Her sentencing was like 15 minutes long. This is just one segment of it. It's just a minute of it. But I want you to hear this judge's tone. She was so arrogant. Thank you, Monica. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. She was so arrogant. I mean, at one point, the judge actually chastised her because she kept saying that he believed what she was saying. And he stopped her and said, look, this is going on the record. This is all going on the record. You will not say that I believe what you're saying and put that on the record. That is not happening. I do not believe. I have read your reports. I've read what you filed. I don't believe you. I mean, he was, and then boy, she was just freaking arrogant. And she was like, well, you wouldn't let me put into evidence all the evidence that I have. And this, and it, which wasn't true. It just wasn't true. What they wouldn't do is allow her to falsely make false claims. They wouldn't let her just willy-nilly claim that to this day, she is still walking around telling people the election was stolen. Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Even your own evidence doesn't prove that. Thank you for the support, Sharon. I really appreciate you. But I want you to hear this judge's tone. You can actually just feel how pissed off he is. This is just 1 out of 15 minutes, man. He just tore her a new.
Your reputation at this point is poor because of what you've done here and after. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. There are many things in my mind that are crystal clear about this case. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. This is nonsense. Our system of government can't function when people in government think that somehow, some way, the power they've been given is absolute in all respects. And that's where you fell. You have no respect for the checks and balances of government. You have no respect for this court. You have no respect for law enforcement. At the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe.
That's 1 minute of it. That's whoo, I got it. He held her up like a drum and just bang, 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 bang. Yeah, these people. I mean, really, folks, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Just, it's insane what these people did to them. She's 70 years old, folks. 70. And she just got 9 years, again, federal time. Oh my God, that's a death sentence. She will never see the light of day. Oh my God. I mean, just could you imagine being a 70-year-old woman and they're going to lock you in a female penitentiary? Whew, man, for Trump, for Trump. Andrea, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Andrea. Andrea is absolutely right. Get out there and vote. Early voting is starting in a lot of states. Texas is October 21st. Please take a minute after the show and look up when your early voting is. Let's just get it done as quick as possible so that we can. Thank you, Andrew, for reminding everybody that. Please, just pretty please, just check when your early voting is. Get it done as fast as possible. Pretty please. I know, right? Throw them in the same show, right? Why not? It's federal. It's federal. Do it. All right, folks. Here's a little palate cleanser for you. This is one of my favorite people on the face of the planet, Chef Jose Andres. If you don't know who Chef Andres is, he runs World Central Kitchen. He goes into war zones, disaster areas. Him and his team they're what human beings are supposed to be. This is what humanity is supposed to be. And he is in Asheville and Georgia, and his team is incredible. It's just incredible. They're from Pensacola all the way up to Asheville, North Carolina. They've got kitchens set up, and he's given a little tour of I've got it for you. It's a little tour of the Asheville kitchen. I just want you to little something bright, a little something to cleanse the palate, because we're going to talk about a real problem that we're dealing with Hurricane Helene. Let's get into it.
All right, people, we're cooking. Curate, one of our partners, Chef Katie and Felix. Hello, hello. We're cooking bananas, butter.
I'm sorry for interrupting this. I just want to, that is something that he does. We know he pointed that's one of our partners. He's not a me guy. He's not. He does. If you follow Chef Andres, and I do, I suggest you do too. He is constantly lavishing praise on everybody that allows them to do this. I mean, it's not a me, pay attention to me thing. He's just a really wonderful human being.
Butter, hi, Felix, say hi. Hello. Say
Hello,
hola.
hello.
A lot of places we're going. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. Time. Yeah, thousands of meals. By road, by helicopter. We are here at the Bears. Take a look what's going on here. You know, this is amazing. What are we cooking today?
Lots of beans. Pinto beans, kidney beans, white beans, tomatoes,
Beans of all colors.
onions.
All right.
Beautiful
They're cooking beans.
Sorry, muted myself. Bad. I didn't want to be interrupting. You know why they cook beans? You know why? It's a part of just about every meal they pass out. You know why? You know why beans are in there? Protein, exactly. Protein, they store incredibly well, and their carbohydrates, and they're not just sugary carbohydrates. They're carbohydrates that release slowly over time. One of the best foods you can have in a disaster situation when you're bringing people back that have been low on food. It is one of the best foods. That's why they're massive. I know when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's a lot of beans. Yeah, that is why beans are definitely, it's fiber, it's nutrition. In every meal they prepare, there's going to be beans in there.
They're cooking beans, teams doing all meals already prepared.
210.
Meals that are put in the cambros so they arrive warm. A lot of cambros. We have doggies too. Hey. We're sending some dog food here and there. They needed bolognese pasta.
Yeah, they don't just feed the people. They don't. They figured that out too. And whenever there's one of these disaster areas, the dogs get incredibly neglected. They show up with dog food and they feed the dogs too.
Pasta behind me. This is the Bears Smokehouse, one of our kitchens in Asheville. They are plating and making meals don't stop. Oh yeah, take a look all the teams. Yeah, say hi. So that's what's going on. Helicopters in the back, water. We have a lot of water going into the communities every single day. Here is kind of the command center, which used to be a beautiful bar, and now is used where everybody works from. Yeah, a bar can be a great command center too. And that's it. I'm gonna go to my next mission, which is on the helicopter going to a beautiful place called Pensacola. No, I've been in Pensacola. Bye, guys. See you soon.
And they'll be there, man. They will be there until it's over, till everybody's back on their feet. They'll be doing it every day. Just these, I just wanted a little something to feed your soul, a little something. This is what it's about. This is what humanity's about. This is what we're supposed to be. I love this guy. I love this guy. Because these folks are really facing, y'all have all seen this image. This is one of the iconic images it's gonna have hang time. We're gonna see this forever. This viral image is gonna be there forever. GR Sauceda says, I know this is a serious, but blazing saddles and beans. Hey, laughs good every once in a while. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, too, Blazing Saddles. Mel Brooks movie. Hey, haven't seen it? Watch it. Y'all have all seen this. This is Unicoi County, Tennessee. This image went viral everywhere. And I mean, it was something. The people, they were brought in helicopters to get people off the roof. They had to. They had to, not just helicopters, because they couldn't move patients, and this is why. Yeah, Unicoi County, there was not an ambulance that wasn't underwater, man. I mean, it was a disaster. I mean, a disaster of disasters. So you had patients that couldn't be moved. They ended up not just helicopters, fleets of boats. They were moving. They were literally lifting patients up and putting them right into boats and floating them out. I mean, these people, the people doing the search and rescue, it was just amazing. It was just amazing. It's incredible. Incredible. The waters of floodwaters have receded. And now the real disaster hits, how many people in Unicoi County do you think had flood insurance? I'll give you a hint. On the coast, it runs about 21% on the coast. How many people do you think had flood insurance in Unicoi County? Zero is a pretty damn close guess. It's under 1%. It's under 1%. So, yeah. These people's homes are destroyed, absolutely decimated. You've got thousands of people and thousands of homes that are decimated. I mean, look at that, people. I mean, you're going to have to gut the walls in that place if you rebuild it if you can, with no insurance. None whatsoever. That's what we're looking at. I mean, that's what we're looking at for these folks. The devastation has just begun. And again, there is a significant difference between Republicans and Democrats. You know, the Republicans were trying to shut down the government, and they've given up on that now that we've had this disaster. But Joe Biden said, "Look, we need a FEMA supplemental bill, not just you know, normal FEMA funding, because we've been saying for years that FEMA funding isn't cutting it. We're having more and more and more storms. So the Disaster Relief Fund, which is its own separate fund in FEMA, there are other programs in FEMA, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, they've been saying for a couple of years now, we're having shortfalls because the storms are getting worse. And yes, this is before we even talk about Project 2025 and Trump and the Republicans wanting to get rid of FEMA altogether. But Secretary Mayorkas came out and said, look, we're going to have a shortfall this year. We're going to have a shortfall this year. And what did Republicans say about it? Did they say, well, let's fix this. Let's sit down and hammer this out. No, man, no. No, this is just like the border bill. They don't want to fix the border. They want to run on immigration. You think they're going to sit down and work out a funding bill for FEMA that's having shortfalls? Oh, no. Speaker Johnson already said, we're not coming back. They passed the supplemental and went on vacation. And he said, no way, no how are we coming back off vacation? No, we're not coming back off vacation. But he did put a statement about undocumented immigrants voting. I'm not even kidding. They've got this ridiculous thing that they call the SAVE Act that they're pushing. They have a bill that says you have to prove your citizenship to register to vote. Good luck with that. How are you going to prove your citizenship? They just want to make it harder and harder and harder and harder to vote. It means you've got to go find what they call an acceptable birth certificate to prove that you were born here, just to register to vote. If not, you're going to vote. You're not going to vote. It's just the way it works. That's what they're focused on. And if you think I'm kidding, that, you know, if you think I'm joking about the fact that, or this is hyperbole, and they're going to try to make this about immigration, and you know, you haven't been paying attention to Republicans.
If you want to see how sick and distorted Kamala Harris's priorities are, just consider FEMA. F-E-M-A. You know what that is, right? The Federal Emergency Management Agency. And you read about now all the time because there's nobody that's handled a hurricane or storm worse than what they're doing right now. Kamala spent all her FEMA money, billions of dollars, on housing for illegal migrants, many of whom should not be in our country. If you want to see how sick.
Yeah. Same old message for the bigots. They're getting free shit and you're getting nothing. They're taking from you to get to them immigrants. We're not working on the problem, which is a shortfall of funding in FEMA. They're going to push the message for the bigots. Meanwhile, the people that are the victims of Hurricane Helene, folks, just imagine you've lost everything. Yeah, no kidding. He's got a long history of failure. Hurricane Harvey here down in Texas, he promised everybody checks and those never showed up. But yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about because this is the real message that is all over the place with the Republicans. Mr. Knudsen in the House, my friend from Norway, Republicans will use every underhanded tactic they can to keep minority power. Be prepared, zero morals, just power. Thank you for the support there, Mr. Knudsen. I appreciate you. Here's the deal. I've told you, every really good lie has a kernel of truth. So let's jump back in the Wayback Machine and go back to when everything was about the border. What was the big complaint about the border? What were they saying? You don't care. You're destroying our states. These immigrants, you expect us to foot the bill for those immigrants. You're destroying us. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember Greg Abbott? Every damn day. That was the whole point of the buses, remember? See how you like paying for some of this. Remember? The buses? So what did Joe do? Joe sent $640 million. It's not billions and billions of dollars. It was $640 million they sent to cities down here in Texas and everywhere else along the border. Said, hey, let us help you deal with this problem. They also sent money to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, people to take the burden off the states and the cities. Right? That's what they wanted, right? Well, this is how they're spending it. This is what the right-wing propaganda machine is saying. Are they saying thank you for the help? Nah. They're saying the reason FEMA's having shortfalls is because you're giving it all away to immigrants. You people in North Carolina and Georgia and Florida, and you're not getting any help. Not because, you don't deserve it, or not because you didn't buy flood insurance, or not because of anything you did. They're giving it all away to the migrants. That's what they want to do. Give it all to the migrants. Not we requested the money, they gave us the money. Not they told us for years that these budget shortfalls were coming because the storms are getting worse every year. Not the truth that none of this money that they're talking about came out of FEMA's disaster relief budget. Not a penny of it. And that's the part that we're servicing the victims of Helene with, is the disaster relief budget. Democrats have been begging for years to get that budget increased. and they wouldn't do it. Hell, they tried to cut it a couple of years back. But they don't want to take responsibility for that. They don't want to talk about what's really happening. That's like just, doing the job, man. And Republicans don't do the job. So this has been so prevalent that FEMA has had to put out a website, and I have linked it. If you're on YouTube, it's down in the comments. If you're not on YouTube, if you're in Twitch or one of the other platforms we stream to, you can come to the replay after. It's down in the description. Is a link to FEMA's website where they knock all of these myths down. And this is the one that talks about, no, we're not taking any money and giving it to immigrants out of the disaster relief fund. It's just not the truth. Funding for FEMA's disaster response was diverted to support international efforts for border-related issues. Fact, this is false. No money is being diverted from disaster response needs. FEMA's disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the Disaster Relief Fund, which is a dedicated fund for disaster efforts. Disaster Relief Fund money has not been diverted to other non-disaster related efforts. Yeah, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie with a kernel of a truth. I told you, the best lies have a kernel of truth. So everyone that you correct on this, because the Russian trolls are all over this. The Russian bots are just spamming this out on social media. Because, what does a bigot want? Does a bigot want the people in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida? Do they want them helped? No. They want it. They want this. You're giving it away to them others, them people. You're taking from them good, hard-working, white Americans, and you're giving it to them brown folks. That's what them Democrats do. Doesn't matter that it's not the truth. It doesn't matter that it's exactly what the governors down here wanted and asked for. They asked for the assistance, and they got it. Doing the job. The other one is Ukraine. We spent X number of $1 billion on Ukraine, and they want to just give people $750. That's it. Give it all the way to Ukraine. Okay. Put on the brakes. My governor ran his mouth about this, Greg Abbott. I wonder, since he's been bragging about all those new jobs, I wonder if he's going to close down those defense factories that we just built and expanded, because 90+% of the money that we allocate to Ukraine goes to factories here in the United States, most of which are in the South, several of which are in Texas. Yeah, Ukraine funding is American funding for American factories, building defense products that we send to Ukraine. Yeah. Do you think for a sec, you think Greg Abbott's going to, clarify that for his people, that Ukraine money that he's complaining about really went to Texas? I don't think he's going to do that. Do you? But it's not about reality for these people. It's just not. Let's go back to Chef Andres for a second. Of all the people in the world you would think that would have to address misinformation, do you think Chef Andres wouldn't be on the list for me? But he is. This is put out by Chef Andres, who says, this is a lie. Actually, the National Guard has an amazing operation out in Nashville. Thousands of them, more helicopters I've ever seen in an operation. Tons of goods dropped. I don't know. Why is he saying that? Well, this asshat right here, went viral. I call him an asshat. Let me say, kudos to this guy and his buddies. These guys ran up into the disaster area and decided to be part of the search and rescue effort. Good for them. Good for them. Good for them. But he's got this. I'll play it if you want. It's a 5-minute video. I can summarize it for you. He bitches and moans because when he showed up, the government just didn't crap him helicopters. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. And this has gone viral on the right. This has gone viral on the right. He says, we did a rescue and the newspapers picked it up and they acted like it was something the government did. I can't even get a helicopter from the government. Yeah. Just because you show up and say, I want to help, doesn't mean that the government craps you a Black Hawk helicopter. And he complains, well, we had to do a rescue in a civilian's helicopter. Yeah. Let me tell you something, folks, about the Helene effort. Civilian pilots have been amazing. Especially helicopter pilots have been freaking amazing. Again, from the Florida Gulf Coast all the way up to North Carolina into Tennessee, they have been showing up with their helicopters and just flying search and rescue missions in coordination with the government. But why I call this guy an asshat is he goes on to say that the government's not doing, this is why it went viral on the right, that the government's not doing anything. Imagine what I could do if I had a couple Black Hawks. The government, I just don't see the government up here. They're just like abandoning everybody. And of course, that's what the bigots want to hear, right? I mean, all we care about are the immigrants. Well, Chef Andres kind of had to straighten that out because not only is he cooking for the people, he's also cooking for the first responders, which include the National Guard. Because when they're out in the field, they don't really have a whole lot of support. So they need support just like the people do. So yeah, he knows a little bit of something about the National Guard and who's out in the field doing what.
So I'm here in Burkesville in Mitchell County, and probably you read reports that this area was like forgotten. Listen, all these people here from government, National Guard, fire department, they've been doing an amazing job. They have food, they have water. Obviously, it's communities that they're cut off, that they're trying to reach to them. But these people have this under control. Under the circumstances, this town, this area is being taken care of thanks to these people, okay? You endorse this message? Yeah. All right, let's keep going. So I'm here in Berks.
Yeah. Imagine being inundated. You're Chef Jose Andres. You're worried about feeding people, but you're getting inundated with messages saying, oh, we're so sorry the government has abandoned you, that you actually have to take time to respond to that nonsense. Yeah. That's what the Republicans are doing. That's what the Republicans are doing. Folks, FEMA has, as part of their disaster relief fund, they're capped at how much they can give each individual. For each individual household, it's $42,000 for housing and $42,000 for other expenses. It's $84,000. That's it. That's all FEMA can do. And very few people ever see that kind of money out of FEMA. Because FEMA is not there to rebuild. They're there to rescue people. They're there to respond to a disaster. They're not there to be your insurance company or to make your life right again. To undisaster your disaster. That's not what FEMA does. Their emergency response. It's in the name. Federal Emergency Management Association. You know, I mean, come on. It's in the name. It's in the name. The Small Business Administration has loans, low interest loans, usually under 1%, to help people rebuild. That comes later. That comes later. That's how it works. FEMA also is responsible for the federal flood insurance program, which again, remember when we talked about healthcare in the last show and their plan, the Republican plan for healthcare, which is to isolate out all the sick people into their own pool. And I told you that'll make it hyper freaking expensive. Well, that's kind of the problem with our health, our federal flood insurance program. Stick with me, and we're going to go out in the weeds a little bit. I want to explain this whole insurance conundrum and what we have to do going forward. Insurance companies are not regulated on the federal level. They're regulated on the state level by their choice. That's the way the insurance companies want it, because they can buy a few state senators and get what they want on the state level relatively cheaply. I guarantee you, your state insurance commission is bulldozed by insurance companies. They might as well just put the logos on the door. That's a problem. It's a problem. They're supposed to represent us. They never do. They always end up representing the insurance companies. And it's the same with flood insurance. If we could federally just say, you know what, your homeowner's insurance has to have a flood component, it would cost a couple bucks a policy. Because, you know, some guy in Arizona that lives in the desert would have to pay a couple bucks for flood insurance, and it would piss him off all the damn time, but it would be a couple bucks. That's the way insurance is supposed to work. We're supposed to take that risk, that high risk, and we're supposed to spread it out amongst all of us. But the insurance companies are incredibly greedy. They don't want to insure stuff that they have to pay claims for. They don't. So we end up with things like the federal flood insurance program, which takes all the people that might need flood insurance and sticks them into one little pool. And it's kind of expensive, so nobody buys it. That's what happened in Tennessee and North Carolina, you know, Asheville. Nobody in Asheville has flood insurance. That's why Obamacare had the mandate when it first came out, because it makes insurance cheaper. And they know this because they do it with auto insurance. You have to have auto insurance on your car. But the greedy corporations do this. And where does it leave us? Where does it leave us? We're going to pay anyways. We're going to pay anyways. You're going to get the Republicans that are going to just say the most horrific things. Any place that any money got spent that some right-wing conservative jackhole doesn't agree with, they're going to run and say, look, they got all the money and we didn't get nothing. Which isn't true. But we're going to end up, folks, this is a financial disaster. Because, you know, those Small Business Administration loans that I was telling you about, you've got to have good credit to get those. They're credit requirements to get those loans. So if you were broke going into this, yeah, you're not rebuilding your home. You're going to walk away from your mortgage. That's what you're going to do. You're going to walk away from your mortgage. And you're going to destroy your credit even more. And you're going to stress the banks. Because what are the banks going to do with a flooded out house? Yeah, that's the situation. That's what we're looking at right now. Who do you want managing that? Trump? The Project 2025 people that don't want FEMA in the first place? You know, I played you that clip of Pete Buttigieg actually doing the job ahead of time, not after. This was before the strike. Who do you want doing the job? You want Republicans or Democrats? And I'm talking to you, Trump voter in North Carolina, in Tennessee. This is your life now. Who do you want? Before you make that decision, let me tell you the kind of thing that Republicans are doing. This is a story that's just coming out, and it's not really getting enough coverage yet. We don't know how many of these letters were sent out. This woman, she lives in a little community called Bala Kenwood in Pennsylvania. And she got a letter. She did. She got a letter. It looked like it was from the government. I mean, it looks like a government letter. The top of it, I mean, right across the top, the header is Pennsylvania Congressional Office of Immigration Affairs. And the address put on it is the intersection right by the Capitol in Harrisburg. And what this letter says is that you've been chosen by the government based on this law. You know, they quoted U.S. statute number, yada, yada, yada. Turns out there is no such law. It's just made up whole cloth. But what the letter says is you will have to house 5 immigrants starting December 2nd. Based on this law that Biden-Harris administration signed into law. You're going to house 5 immigrants. And it goes on into detail to describe, you know, the different requirements and whatnot. It's completely made up. Fictional. There is no Pennsylvania Commission for Immigrant Affairs. It doesn't exist. And it had a phone number on it that's since been disconnected. But when you first called it, when the Philadelphia Inquirer, kudos to them, this was their journalism, the Philadelphia Inquirer. No, it's not like the Inquirer tabloid. The Philadelphia Inquirer is an actual newspaper. You got a hold of a automated message that gave you choices to add more immigrants or to discuss how much funding you're going to get for housing these immigrants. But it never really went anywhere. And now that's been taken down. Who do you think sent that letter with the fake? It had a fake seal of the state of Pennsylvania on it. Who do you think sent that letter? And no, it's not the only one. It's just the only one that's been reported on so far because it hasn't made national news yet. You can bet they sent a hell of a lot more out. Bala Kenwood is one of the areas that the Republicans think that they might be able to make some inroads in. Yeah, it's the Republicans, folks. Republicans sent this out. It's pure misinformation. They killed the border bill. They killed the Middle East peace deal with Netanyahu. Now they don't want to do anything as far as disaster relief. So yeah. Who do you want? People that do stuff like this? Just made up bullshit about immigrants getting all the stuff and you ain't getting nothing. Or the guy that says, you know what, we've got a serious underwriting problem here with flood insurance. We have 99% of the people that had their homes damaged were decimated. We're going to have to come up with some sort of grant system. The loans aren't going to work. We're going to have to go in county to county to county to see how many homes we're actually looking at, and do it now. Do it now. Not like the Speaker of the House has said. Moses Mike Johnson will do it when we come back off vacation. No, folks. We are not the same. We are not the same. We just are not the same. Yeah, Democrats like power. They do. It's a sweet gig. Being in government is a sweet gig. It's a 6-figure salary with a staff and travel and perks. But they do the damn job. They don't have to do things like try to villainize immigrants. With the immigrants, by the way, who do you think's going to rebuild all of this? Do you see a bunch of hillbillies getting their fat asses up on roofs and hauling off soaked, oh my God, you've never seen what that trash is like. The mold that's going to be in that trash. No, man. It's going to be a bunch of young, scrapping immigrants looking for a better life. That's who's going to do this rebuilding. That's who's going to do this rebuilding. Who do you want, man? I mean, really, who do you want? Mr. Newsom, let's confiscate Mar-a-Lago for the homeless. No kidding, right? Don't say that, because they'll say that we're doing it. Trump already said, part of that clip I played you with Trump, it's actually a much longer clip. He just goes on with nauseating, gross shit. Says that we're leaving veterans out on the sidewalk and in front of luxury hotels, and we're moving immigrants into them luxury hotels because they'll vote. This goes back to his whole SAVE Act thing, where they're trying to pass a law. They're trying to pass a law that says immigrants can't vote. Well, no shit. That's the law now. That's already the law. It's already the law. All you're trying to do is make everybody go and jump through some more hoops so you can try to peel some more people off because you're a minority. Republicans rule through a minority. And the only way that works is if you can keep people from voting. We underestimated Trump in 2016, never again. Hell, nobody estimated him, period. In 2016, he was an unknown. That's why I keep telling people, this polling is crap. Everybody knows what Trump is. Yes, the polling is looking good, but it is actually much better than what you're seeing because the algorithms are broken. There are a lot of people that have voted Republicans their whole life, military people that are just looking around saying, no, this is not us. This is not who we are. This is not what we're doing. That's why they're trying so desperately with this, like with this strike, to try to create another. Oh, look, this is a Democratic disaster. Trump wasn't so bad. Look, the Democrats did it too. No toilet paper for you. I hear you, man. I hear you. They're doing it again. Trump's getting all this free press all the time. And Kamala Harris, unless there's something bad they can say, they're not going to show her speaking. So, yeah. Things are looking good, but you can't take your foot off the gas. You can't. All of this, there's just way too much on the line. This is not like it used to be, whether it was, okay, we'll try these policies for a few years versus these policies. No, it's not that way anymore. 98% of the jobs in our modern era were created by Democrats. Period. And no, nobody just creates a job just to give somebody a job. Anybody that runs a business, the only time there's a job is if there's work. And if there is no work, they get rid of the job. Businesses aren't charities. So yeah, business is good under Democrats. There's work. We can't go back. We can't go back. We've got it. The Republican Party has to go away. It does. It has to go away. Make room for something else to come up in its place. Make room for another party. I don't mind an argument. I don't mind a debate. Fight me. That's good. As long as we're both talking about a functioning government. Because, folks, I say it over and over and over again. There's no magic to government. It's just do what you can't do for yourself. That's it. That's the job. That's the job. Just do what people cannot do for themselves. And do the job. And if another party wants to come up that has different views on how to do things, great. Makes us Democrats be better. But that's not the Republican Party, folks. They don't even live in reality. They don't even live in reality. Yeah, exactly. Because most of us have cell phones now. Most of us don't even have landlines anymore. These poles are just broken. They're just broken. Well, folks, that's what I have for you today. I appreciate you. Get out there and vote. Make it happen. Make sure you've got a voting plan. Vote early if you can. After we get done here, I'm about to go show you some Texas cities at night. Pretty please. Check and see when your early voting is. Pretty please. Let's get this done. I want to see a bunch of people carrying the new I voted mugs. Let's do it. Love you, folks. This is Old Texas Paul. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.